Because League Express mentioned that one.
I haven't read that. I think you might guess. The bit about not having a train station and being the back of Beyond was my comment, by the way. That wasn't in the official press release. And I think you might guess the way that I'm going with it. I don't know why we play games at Lee, frankly. I think it's in the middle of nowhere for a lot of people. It's hard to get to for a lot of people, particularly if you're this side of the Pennines, the right side. So that
you're looking from like space at England then when you're talking about the right as opposed to the left. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. Right as opposed to left. Yep, keep going.
It's the right in both senses. But yeah, it's I think it's a very, very fair point about the size of the ground. Now, I don't know what the availability is of bigger grounds. That's obviously a complication at the moment in terms of COVID restrictions anyway. I don't know if the McAlpine was available. I don't know about Ellen Road. I don't know about big grounds that are in the middle of the teams, if you like. That would mean you could get a bigger number of fans.
Nice throwback, by the way, with the dropping a McAlpine reference.
Still the McAlpine, always will be. So yeah, it does feel. I mean, 600 times 4 is obviously 2,400. So that's not even, if my maths is any good, which
no,
it is.
But then you add on two finalists for the Women's Challenge Cup, and you get to another 1,200, don't you?
Yeah, well, but you can't allocate because they don't have season ticket holders discreetly, so you can't allocate 600 on that basis, can you? So it feels a bit random that it's 600. Just at the start when you think about the 4,000 limit. So yeah, it feels like a very strange decision. Strange ground, not great, not great placement. I'm surprised that there isn't a bigger ground that's more suitable. To be frank, so it does feel like it's a bit of an own goal, I think. But what I don't have an idea of is the financial implications of hosting it at one ground. At a bigger ground, etc.
Certainly, the BBC were requiring it to be a double header at the same stadium for their purposes, and I guess that makes sense to some extent as well. Anyway, we had it for 2 years before this one, before shutdown, before lockdown last year. As a double header, triple header with the women's final as well in the 2019 version. So that's fair enough, but more people were allowed in, weren't they? Now, a lot of the football stadiums are apparently not available because of things like pitch maintenance after the season, but to be honest, what it is you would have had to have paid someone to put it on instead of worrying about their pitch maintenance, let's be fair. So maybe there's a financial, like you say, there. I kind of think the whole idea of not letting one of the teams be playing on the home ground is kind of irrelevant now. So I think we could have had it at St Helens or we could have had it at Leeds, even though the women could potentially be in the final, or Leeds they can't have it actually, can they? Because they've got the cricket on that weekend, so it was a weekend where they couldn't have a game at Headingley. But St Helens could have been used, I think, for example, as a slightly bigger stadium. I think they've gone for an option that they didn't have to spend any money on, and it kind of is a not great for the fans kind of scenario. Which is a bit upsetting. I agree. So
yeah,
so it is a big shame.
It feels very cautious as a decision, I would say. So yeah.
And I think when we contrast that decision with this decision, that the Elite One Championship Grand Final will be held at Toulouse's 19,000 capacity Stade Ernest Wallon on Sunday, June the 20th. they've gone big, whereas we've gone small. The first round of the playoffs, which sees the third play sixth and fourth play fifth, is on June the 5th and 6th, with the two winners going on to play the teams that finished first and second on the weekend of June 12th and 13th, and then obviously have that final at the Ernest Wallon. So, where France maybe are thinking a little bit more big and optimistic, we're thinking small fry here, and putting them on a small stadium for a showpiece event is disappointing. And it's a shame that there wasn't something able to be done to have it somewhere bigger where we could have got a few hundred more fans for each side.
Yeah, definitely. So moving into team news, and Hull KR halfback Jordan Abdul has signed a new deal to remain with the Super League club for a further 3 years. The 25-year-old began his career with Hull FC before moving to London in 2019. He joined the Rovers last term and so far this year scored 2 tries and provided 6 assists.
We should update that, shouldn't we? Because he definitely scored a try last night and probably did some assists last night. He's Tom Andrews got in touch. He said, happy with this. Getting a halfback tied down gives you a chance to build, although I'd rather have him at 13, but hey-ho. Yeah, we don't have ball-playing 13s anymore, Tom. Certainly not ones who are scared of tackling. So I think it's good business for Hull KR. Is the heartbeat of their side these days, isn't he?
Yeah, it feels like it. Good stuff. And also at KR, Ethan Ryan has signed a new 2-year contract, which sees him remain at the club until the end of 2023. Obviously, Tom got in touch on this one as well, saying, pleased with this re-signing. If he can get a good run of games together, he will prove himself to be top quality.
I see what you've done there. You've doubled up on the Hull KR news so that I have to double up on the Leeds news, where Australian standoff, and I suppose sort of nickname person, the convicted spousal abuser Robert Louis, will leave Leeds Rhinos when his contract expires this autumn. The 31-year-old plans to return down under and play second-tier rugby in Queensland, where he was born. Louis joined Rhinos from Salford Red Devils in June 2019. He helped them to avoid relegation from Betfred Super League that season and was a member of their Challenge Cup winning side last year. The ex-convict is back off down to the land of ex-convicts. Yeah, don't let the door hit you on the arse on the way out, will you? And dual code international Kyle Eastmond has announced his retirement from professional rugby just 5 games into the 2021 Super League season. The 31-year-old only returned to Rugby League with Leeds in March after 9 years playing rugby union with Bath Wasps and Leicester. He made 2 appearances for Leeds before his decision to retire. He said, I've come to realise the passion to influence the game is no longer on the field. It is this love and respect for the game that leads me to this decision. I would like to say thank you so much to Kevin Sinfield, Leeds Rhinos and all the fans, and wish the team all the best for the rest of the season. John Hamilton, our friend John got in touch. He said, strange one. Seems like he found it tougher coming back than he expected. Fair play for being honest about it. With Louis going as well, we'll probably just nab Williams from Canberra. Some sort of emoji. I think there wasn't confidence behind the emoji is the feeling I'm getting from that one. But yeah, over before it began for Eastmond.
Yeah, as John says, he probably did find it a lot tougher than maybe he was expecting. 9 years out, obviously, he'd obviously forgotten a lot, and the body's a lot more forgiving when you're a youngster, isn't it? So yeah, for whatever reason, he decided pretty quickly, actually, that it's not for him. So
he's done Leeds a favour here, hasn't he? In a way, he could have stumbled around, being blowing out of his arse through training sessions that he wasn't pulling up any trees in and not making any impact, but picking up a paycheck. But by doing this, he's probably done Leeds a favour, and so it's kind of a. You got to say fair play to him for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough.
Would you have imagined that Kyle Eastmond would have been a bigger flop than Luther Burrell, or even Andy Powell?
The world's a strange place.
In fact, Dwayne Chambers was almost better.
I wouldn't go that far. Anyway, talking of Castleford, so Cast Tigers fullback Niall Evalds has signed a new 2-year deal with an option for an extra year. The 27-year-old joined the Tigers from Salford in the close season on a 1-year contract.
I'm sure that happened already. That's been in a rundown already this year. But what hasn't is that Cast Tigers forward Nathan Massey.
To just repeat Niall Evalds' stories.
Yeah, sorry, you broke up there. I think I must have trodden on your point, but
no, it's all right. Well, I was just basically saying we just seem to be going around in a circle with Niall Evalds.
Well, he was sending the whole KR defence in a few circles last night until it all went wrong. Cast Tigers forward Nathan Massey has signed a 2-year contract extension. The 31-year-old has made over 25 appearances for the Tigers since making his debut in 2007, and Fatboy Rob said, "Hopefully the first of many." There's a sense of foreboding to that. With Evalds tied up as well and Truman hinting he will see out his deal, I predict Cass will be pissing 2022 as well as this year. Yes, pissing away a lead at home in front of fans. That's what he means, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I like the fact he said he made over 25 appearances.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's true.
I think it should be 250.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But over 25 is also true.
Yeah.
Cass have announced that forward Daniel Smith has signed a new deal, which will keep him at the club until the end of 2023. The 28-year-old has been with the Tigers since 2019 after making a mid-season switch from Huddersfield to join his hometown club.
Now, this one I think is the better piece of business out of the two retentions, even though it's good for Cass to start doing a kind of any retentions, I think, with all the speculation and, what we're seeing happen to the women's side as well. But I think Daniel Smith's going really well for them this year, and so I think this is a good piece of business. I don't know what you think. Yeah,
kind of solid squad member, you would say. And yeah, you're right, he's been playing probably a little bit better than that this year so far. So yeah, still got time on his side as well.
Worrying news, though, is that England winger Tom Johnstone will see a specialist to assess his ongoing concussion-related symptoms. This was said by Wakey coach Chris Chester. The 25-year-old was withdrawn with a head knock in round 2 defeat by Wigan. Actually, I should have sense checked this as well, because he played the next week. He played 2 weeks later, didn't he, and got another head knock. So this is a further blow for Johnstone, who missed games with knee ligament injuries in the past 2 seasons. It's a worry, isn't it? Because round 1, absolute excitement in what he did against Leeds with his 2 long distance tries. Round 2, just before half time, I think it was, he got the head knock against Wigan, and then when he came back 2 weeks later, he was diving for a try in the corner, weren't he? He wasn't even in a big collision really where he picked up his head knock the second time around, and that was a month ago now, and is still out, and they're still trying to figure out what's going on for Tom Johnstone. England World Cup place in jeopardy now, do you feel, with this worrying situation?
I'd probably go further and say career in jeopardy. I think knee problems are one thing, but concussion related symptoms, probably, guessing, probably things like headaches, that kind of thing.
It is, yeah. He returned to training, didn't he, and started feeling migraines again the next morning after his return to training. So
it's that kind of thing that is, potentially life shortening stuff, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's we know all about the history of concussion in sport and its effect on people's long-term health. He's far too young to be kind of having to cope with these things. So it's a massive concern. Concern.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll, with the break and with getting some specialist treatment and input, it'll be able to resolve things. Certainly, first of all, for his health, and hopefully for his career.
Yep. So, in more injury news at Wakefield, Wakefield centre Jack Croft has suffered a season-ending injury while playing on loan at Oldham. The 20-year-old joined Oldham on a season-long loan 2 weeks ago, but was dealt a major blow after suffering anterior cruciate ligament ruptures while playing for the Roughheads. He'll be sidelined for 9 months.
Poor kid.
Yep, not good.
Wales captain Elliot Keir is to drop down a level from Super League Salford Red Devils to Bradford Bulls in the Championship, and at the same time become a firefighter in West Yorkshire. Salford have given the 32-year-old winger their blessing for the move, which will take place at the end of May. Interesting one, isn't it?